Hi, I'm Lex, and welcome to my channel. I always feel really awkward saying that. Welcome to my channel. Today we will be talking about my eyeshadow project pan. It's been a little while since I filmed a video, so let's try and get back into the swing of things. My eyeshadow project this year has been something completely new to me. It's the Pan That palette. And I've never panned a palette before, like in its entirety. I've never planned to do that. So I kind of wanted to start with my oldest palettes, and I put up a few options. The one that got voted on the most was the winner. There was a tie, so I just went with whichever one was oldest, and that happened to be my Technic Mega Mattes palette. Not to spoil the whole video already, but look at that. Every single one of these shades now has a pan in it. Good work on my part, I'd say, because that is genuinely 6 new pans in this palette. The new pans are this one, this yellow shade here, this, and this, and then this final shade, which has now the biggest pan. So you can tell I really liked using that one. This is a 12 pan palette. It is absolutely ancient. The packaging has a massive crack in it, and all of these shades are pretty powdery. So I kind of wanted to just get some use. It's a typical neutral palette, so I figured it would be a good one to start with for my first ever Pan That palette, but also just because it'll go with everything. It's a good palette, you know? I still can't fault it, even though it is over 10 years old. It still works well. It may not be, the dark colours aren't as punchy as you'd probably want them to be for dark shades, but everything else works perfectly. And there is genuinely about 5 shades in here that I can just use as lid setting shades. So if I do that all year, they'll definitely be gone. Let's get into my usage for this month. This first shade I used 5 times and hit pan. This second shade I used twice. This third shade I used once. This fourth shade I used 4 times. Fifth shade I used once and hit pan. Sixth shade I used once. Seventh shade I used twice. Eighth shade I used 7 times and hit pan. Ninth shade I used twice. 10th shade I used 5 times and hit pan. 11th shade I used 6 times and hit pan. And this last shade here I used 10 times and hit pan. Now, the reason that some of those might be a little bit iffy is because this palette did have use on it from before I started even tracking my uses. So those aren't exactly accurate to how long it took me to hit pan. Pretty much all of these had dips in them before I rolled them into my Pan That palette. I don't know exactly how many uses I had before I started tracking uses, but this is just what we're going with. That's how many uses it took me to hit pan, and that's that. So yeah, that's some good use on this palette. I will be honest. I'm surprised, I'm pleased, and I honestly don't think that this is as daunting as I thought it was going to be. Honestly, with how much pan is showing in this shade here, I'm so pleased. I could not be happier about this. I do think the plan for now is to get one use on every shade every month, and sort of try and focus on one lid setting shade and one deepening out shade every month. The shades that I obviously got the most use on were this shade here, which is just a plain off-white, and this shade here, which is also kind of a lid setting shade for me. So yeah, that is pretty good. I'm hoping to stay on track, and we will see how much I use this in the coming months. I don't feel like I'm going to be slowing down on it anytime soon. I have a lot of colours that are sort of mid-tones, so I do still need lid setting shades, and I will be getting use out of the deepening out shades. I'm honestly not even too worried if I use up all the light shades and I'm only left with dark colours. Like, I will still continue using them. This is getting me thinking about later in the year though, and how long this will last me. Hopefully not the whole year, but we'll see. The starting weight on this palette was 57.78 grams, and it is now weighing 56.97 grams. So that is, that's honestly like a little under a gram. It's like 0.81. I don't think I did that maths right. Sure, I'm not good at maths. I will put the numbers up on the screen. That's what editing is for. So that is good progress. And I honestly think that this palette will be definitely finished by the end of the year. I know it's really early to say that, but I'm confident. To spice this project up, I have had the plan to roll in a companion palette every month to just add a little bit of colour, because that is a very neutral palette. And my only goal for the companion palette is to use every shade once. The companion palette for January was the Beauty Crop We Cherie palette, and this is just a little 5-pan pink palette. I will say from using this darkest shade comes up very bright on the eyes. It's like a very bright pink, not this dark color that I expected. Also, these are sort of slightly shifty shades. So this one is a little bit like, got a bit of an orange shift to it, and this one is like a pinky purple. This is a lot lighter than you think it's going to be. It does show up like a very white with the slightest hint of pink instead of like this pink color. And honestly, I'd say they were like, you can make 2 good looks out of this palette, and that's kind of it. That's why it works well as a companion palette, because you sort of need those other deepening out shades and a lid setting shade to use this palette, in my opinion. Anyway, these are all beautiful colors, so I'm not complaining in any way. I don't know which way these shade names go, so I'm gonna do them the way I have them written down in my book and hope that's right. This first shade here is Jolie, and I use this one 3 times. This one is Heureux, and I use that once. This one is Chance, and I use that 3 times. And this one is Fayette, I used that twice. And Mirabelle, I used 3 times. So all in all, I got 12 uses on this palette. It changed in weight, and not in a good way. This weighed 39.07 grams when I weighed it at the start, and 39.12 grams today. So it gained weight, which is weird. As I said in my probably last video though, I weigh stuff with a lot of pocket scale, and when there's a little bit of like overhang off the scale, I think it can sometimes be a bit iffy and not measure stuff the same way every time. I'm going to try and be a bit more consistent about weighing everything on the same surface in the same spot every time to see if maybe that makes a difference. But this is rolling out anyway, so the weight was not a major deal for me. I don't know if I mentioned, but in my actual Pan That palette, I had 46 total uses across all the shades, so that is really good. I'm really happy with that. Definitely use that like at least twice every time I did my makeup, you know, pretty much. But yeah, those were some good uses. I'm really happy with that. And let's move on to next month. For February, obviously, as I said, my goal is just going to be really easy. I just want to use each shade once again. And then the new palette that'll be rolling in as a companion palette is the Makeup Obsession Sunshine Makes Me Happy palette. This is a teeny tiny palette. I love it. It's also brand new. I haven't used this at all yet. I'll try not to blind you with the mirror. It is just 9 tiny little baby shades, varying shades of yellow and gold. This one's a little coppery. I'm gonna take this off. This one's a little bit coppery, but you have a lot of these yellows. I will hopefully put up a picture of some swatches that I did of this palette. And my goal is once again to just use every one of these one time. So it is going to be a very gold February. I'm not mad about that at all though. I love a good gold look, and I think golds go really well with neutrals, so that'll be perfect. I did randomize that palette. That's why I'm saying that. It's gonna, you know, it's fate. It's gonna go really well. I'm glad that it's cohesive. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll be back here for my next update to see how my my progress is going, how my Pan That palette is going. Exciting first year of Pan That palette. I'm having fun so far, which is what you always want when you're panning, is to have fun and enjoy it. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next update. Have a good day. Bye.